hello to whoever's watching this, and I'm here to tell you about a petition that I found online, and this shirt goes really well with the petition. It's a petition called Independent Film Appreciation Day, and I'm really excited to tell you about this petition. So yeah, here are the details. It's on a website called Care to Petitions, and it states in the description, independent film has always been the backbone of the film industry. In fact, Hollywood and the film industry as a whole was founded as an independent community. Many star careers have been launched from indie film. I am not the biggest expert on this, but I do know that a good example, a recent example of this is Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence, before she went to the Hunger Games, was the lead female role in an indie film. She was the lead role in a lead female role in an independent film. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I'll post a poster of that indie film with this video. And that same indie film I'm actually interested in watching, so if I ever get the chance to watch it, I will indeed watch it. Independent filmmakers work hard to create and bring life to stories that very often rival that of the mainstream. In this day and time, indie film should be recognized as part of the mainstream. We believe that the indie film community deserves a national day of recognition and appreciation, and would help greatly in this goal. This is something I definitely agree with and am very much for. If there's a national day for tacos, which was a recent day, yes, that's actually a recent thing, and there's national days for this, national days for this, there should be a national day for indie films, and possibly include indie TV or indie videos in that as well. But for the moment, let's just stick with indie film. Yeah, so I really do agree with this. I really do agree with this. The reason why I agree with this a lot is because the general public of the United States does not realize that indie film is even a thing. And that's what really gets me motivated and pumped up to even have this even be a thing, is for indie films to get recognition, you know, just to say, hey, you know, like, let's appreciate the fact that there's filmmakers outside of the Hollywood network that make films. And ideally, I would like to get into Hollywood. That is still my main thing, ideally, or a big TV studio, but Hollywood, somewhere around that area. But even though that's the case, I still appreciate indie films. I still appreciate indie filmmaking. And I have to thank that because of college, indie film school, basically. No, my bad, film school, not indie film school, just film school in general. Many of the people in that school that I go to will probably go on to have a career, or have part of their careers be making indie films, participating in the production of indie films. And so that's why I'm very passionate. That's part of the reason why I'm very passionate about this, is because of that. I'm also passionate about it because I'm interested in indie films as well as Hollywood films. You know, I've seen multiple indie films online, like on YouTube, people who post, you know, their indie films on YouTube and stuff like that. And I think it's very cool to watch some of these indie films. You know, the ability to get your work out there, you know, like never before. And I think that's why it's also a good idea to have this out right now, because before the internet, it was really hard to get your indie film out there. If you were an indie filmmaker, you had a very strict, a very rigid, very hard. It was very hard, basically. It was hard. It was harder than with Hollywood because you had very limited avenues to get a film out there, basically. And thanks to the internet, it's now easier than it was before. That doesn't mean it's not. When I say easier, I mean I'm talking about like how it's easier than before, but I'm not saying it's just easy in general. It's still hard, but thanks to internet, again, it's gotten like easier. I know I'm repeating myself here, but I'm just saying that it's still hard, but it's easier than it was before. But that's basically what I'm trying to say. So that's why I support this petition. That's why I think you should sign this petition and show the government, the White House, that this should be a thing, because I think indie films deserve the recognition. I mean, I'm not saying all indie films are great. There are some that are bad, just like Hollywood films. You know, there's some Hollywood films that are bad. But the thing about indie films is that it gives you the ability. If you make indie films, you have much more freedom and you have much more expression than you do in the Hollywood realm. Because in the Hollywood realm, you have to go through more barriers, basically. Whereas in indie films, you don't have as many barriers. Like if you want to make a film and you have the drive, you have the passion, and you can find a way to get it done, then you can get it done. And you have more you have more control. You know, there's more control over it. Whereas in Hollywood, there's more obstacles. And like, there's some people who make both. There's some people who make indie films and they make Hollywood films. So, I think it's a really cool thing. I think that more people get to know about it because, like I said before, I developed an appreciation for indie films while in college. And also, I wanted to also point this out, I did not even know that indie films were even a thing for a long time, you know? I was just, you know, I just thought, like, oh, like, you know, all films, you know, like, I was just mainly focused on films you see in, like, national theater chains, like Regal and AMC, which for the most part are mostly Hollywood productions in one way or another. It didn't even occur to me until college that indie films were even a thing. And so I actually I actually think if someone asked me, do you wish you would have known that about indie films before, you know, I found out about them, like in high school, for instance, or grade school, you know, like indie films are such a thing, I would say, yeah, I would love to know that. You know, I would love to know that indie films are a thing, because I didn't know. I honestly didn't know that was even possible, you know. So I think that's why it's important that we recognize that, and we recognize there's more to American films than just Hollywood, because there is. You know, I think it's important that we recognize that. And even if we don't get some kind of national recognized day of appreciation, I believe that just spreading out the idea that, hey, there's indie films out there, you should check out some of these indie films, you know, is still a good thing to learn and to realize about. And again, thanks to the internet, there's more availability, there's more options to be able to get your work out there for indie filmmakers and for non-indie filmmakers. So more people have access to it than ever before. So meaning filmmakers can get their stuff out there. So again, I support the petition, and I hope you do as well. I'm MySpace, and thanks for watching.